In the last video on my 2003 BMW M5, we took care of the biggest mechanical issue that car has, the clutch. Under any sort of load situation, the clutch would slip on this thing. Really couldn't even push it to its limits at all. That's not tire spin. We slipping. Really couldn't even push it at all. So we did the clutch, the flywheel, clutch line, and a whole bunch of other while you're in there stuff. And this thing is running and driving great now. I say running and driving great. I drove it about 10 feet into the driveway and immediately got stuck in the snow. But the clutch feels good, the gearbox feels good, no leaks that I can see, everything seems good. But unfortunately, Mother Nature is not going to cooperate with us. But I'm going to keep my feet moving. There is still plenty of work to do on this car, starting right here with the front bumper. If you guys recall, when I bought this car, it had a lower front splitter, and that was cracked. And when it got cracked, it took out the front bumper with it. The front section down near the driver's side fog light was completely cracked, split, and broken into a couple pieces. But with my new plastic welder, we were able to get it all back together, repaired, and most of the way sanded down. We filled in the front plate holes as well, since I don't believe in front plates, but they still need a little bit more sanding, and then we need to get this thing into primer. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be rigging up some sort of makeshift paint booth in here to get this bumper painted, or if I'm gonna go do it in a paint booth. But either way, need to get this bumper finished, sanded down, hopefully into primer, get it all washed up, sanded down, ready for paint. So let's quit chit-chatting and get to work. Actually, real quick before we get to work, you guys commented on this in the last video. Opened up the trunk last time and forgot to see what's really in here. Got your BMW toolkit. Seems like everything's there, except does something go up here? The jack maybe? I don't know. Pliers, screwdriver, tow hook or something? I don't know. So that's cool. And then the big question was, what is in this M box here? I don't think this is like something that would have been here from the factory, so you guys let me know. Got some jumper cables. Oh, cool. This is one of those portable vacuums. Oh, sick. This deal keeps getting better and better. Gorilla tape. WeatherTech mats. I don't know if this used to have those at one point. More Gorilla tape. And a couple of rags. And USB-C cable. Can never have too many of those, I guess. Alright, so nothing terribly interesting, but pretty cool nonetheless. What is under here? Oh, is the battery? I guess the battery's in the back of these things. There's your negative cable, I suppose. It's like this whole cover that goes on here. I assume that's factory as well. Uh-oh! Do we have an aftermarket something going on over here? Hey-o! Yep, we sure do. Looks like we got a Kenwood. I don't know how many channels it is, but did they put in, does this power all of the speakers? Look at all that. So it's a 5-channel amp. I wonder if it's, that looks like all factory wiring on the subwoofers though. So is this just for like speakers and tweeters and stuff? Somebody put some money into this thing. I think this thing was like a show car in like California or Arizona back in the day. I really don't know, but what are all these? Why are these unhooked? It's like was there a factory amp here? You E39 guys, let me know. Was there a factory amp here and that's why we got some connections that are unhooked? I haven't listened to the radio too much in this thing, but when I did, it sounded pretty good. And it almost looks like we have, what is that? Rockford Fosgate, or what is that logo? I'll try and remember what that is. It's like a DB or something. That's got to be an aftermarket tweeter, right? And then you can't see anything through here, but those almost look like, you guys aren't going to be able to see that, but that like gold cone, I can't remember what brand speaker that is, but I think those are big dollars too. So maybe we'll have to crank it up and see what this stereo sounds like. But I also have a different stereo or head unit for this thing, which maybe we'll get into in a little bit.
Too much.
Shortly after purchasing the car, I noticed that the driver's side mirror was actually a dark blue instead of the original black. The receipts that I had for the car actually noted that the driver's side mirror was replaced with a customer supplied mirror. My guess is that there was a problem with the original mirror, so the previous owner sourced a dark blue mirror and maybe was going to get around to painting it, or maybe thought that it looked close enough. I certainly didn't notice it when I purchased the car. But anyways, I figured if we were going to be painting the bumper, we might as well pull that off, get that painted as well, which of course required removal of the door panel. Making a mess of this interior. All right, here's the random blue, dark blue metallic mirror that is out. Gonna have to figure out how to disassemble it so that I can get it ready for paint. Bumper is down by the wood stove curing. Got that primed in last night. Then I'm gonna have to sand that, and then hopefully we'll be ready. only a BMW would do that. Did they put the connector on after they assembled the mirror? Oh, brutal. Absolutely brutal. BMW, in their infinite wisdom, didn't make the mirror mount hole large enough for the wire to fit through with the connector. So instead of cutting and splicing or deep-pinning the connector, I got a little creative. Jeez, all right. All right, a lot has gotten done. The bumper is primed, sanded down, the primed areas are sanded down, and then the whole thing has been sanded and scuffed with 800 grit. Basically ready for paint, ready for base coat, ready for clear coat. And if this doesn't give you a hint, I've made the decision, I'm just gonna paint this thing right here in the garage. I was looking through some old footage of the red Trans Am, and I forgot that my little Vivor inflatable paint booth here does fit in this garage bay. We got a little heat wave coming tomorrow. It's gonna be like 30 or 31 degrees, which is a full 30 degrees warmer than it's been for the past like week. I know even you boys down in Florida, Georgia, you guys are in like the 30s. So the whole country is cold right now, but this is gonna be the warmest it's gonna be for another week at least. So I'm gonna take advantage of that. I'm gonna try and paint right here. Instead of making a paint booth inside of the, back half of this bay like I did for the Mach 1 when we painted that front bumper, I'm gonna put the full paint booth in here. But then similar to the Mach 1 paint fiasco, I'm gonna put a box fan with a filter and then probably a fan maybe in that window as well. Try and get as much ventilation and airflow in here as possible, while somehow hopefully still getting the temperature above 45 to 50 degrees in here. We'll see. But anyways, right now I'm gonna be doing a bunch of setup. I'm gonna be taping up this whole bay here just to keep any overspray or anything out of the bays that, we don't want that stuff. I gotta get the BMW out of here, drive it with no driver's seat, no door panel, and brand new clutch, get it outside. Start doing a bunch of setup so that I can be as ready as possible tomorrow. Shoot some paint when the temperature is right. And by right, I mean 30 or 40 degrees colder than it probably should be. But we've done worse on this channel. Gotta do what you gotta do to get it done. So let's keep it rolling. Let's get ready to paint.
divine. I'm feeling the vibes. I feel like it's more than just a feeling, what we could define. Let's break through the ceiling, see what limits that we could defy. Cause I could do anything I want, it's for me to decide. Bring you up to speed, take the wheel, let you drive. It's alright on a dark road, let the fire in us be the light. Day and night, yeah, we only seem to free our mind at night. That's just life, that's just how we pay the price.
Well, I have been slaving away on these BMW parts most of the day getting them ready for paint. Most of my body hurts, but you know what doesn't hurt? You guessed it, my feet. And that's because I'm wearing the same thing that I wear just about every day. My Brunt Omen boots. I absolutely love these boots. If you're looking for all day comfort, but that still allows you to go in the house, check on the wife, not get yelled at for not taking your boots off, and then shoot right back out into the garage, these are the ones you want. We are at 14,471 steps today, and I still got a lot of work to do tonight. Thankfully, my Omens are taking care of my feet, and that all-day comfort is true for the entire Brunt boot lineup. Whether it's my slip-on Omens, my Sullivans that I like to wear out on the town, or my OG Marin boots. But don't just take my word for it. Brunt is so confident in the comfort and durability of their boots. They're willing to let you try them. If for whatever reason you're not happy, just send them back. But I think you're gonna like them. So if you guys are looking for the best boot on the market, and trust me, I've tried them all, make sure you check out the Brunts. You're not gonna be disappointed. The code in the description is gonna save you a few bucks. All that being said, let's get back to work on the BMW. All right, let's step on into the booth. Boom, getting it done. So here we are, nothing new. You guys have seen my inflatable Vevor paint booth before. Just barely fits in this bay, but we got plenty of room in here for the bumper. The mirror, which we discovered is blue, which I primed because I noticed there was a couple rock chips that I didn't like, so hopefully took care of some of those. Other part of the mirror, and then this little clip that goes in the front bumper. I think it's for a tow hook, can't forget that. Everything is wiped down. I'm gonna get my fan and insulation set up so we can start pulling some of these fumes and stuff out. Got my diesel heater cranking in this window, and then we'll get the ventilation fan going here once we start painting. It's actually warm in here. I'm pleasantly surprised. We'll see if that continues once I open the door and get some airflow going that way. But everything's wiped down. We need to mix up some paint, tack cloth. We're ready to spray. Let's do it.
So that's 2 coats. I'm gonna do one more and hopefully get in some of those tough to get areas. Other than that, this thing's looking glass. Let's see if we can keep it going.
All right, all done. Looking good. Bumper came out really, really nice. I got a bunch of runs though. I think there's a little one over here. Yep. But you guys know me. I'd rather deal with a couple runs that I can wet sand out instead of having to wet sand the entire bumper because of orange peel. Also, it's difficult painting in this booth inside. There's really not enough light in here. Add to the fact that I wore these like very old goggles. Couldn't really see what I was doing. Didn't really know how thick I was laying it on. The answer is very thick. But we got it done. Maintained 50 something degrees in here. I'm gonna let it ventilate a little bit more and then we'll close everything up, let this cure up overnight, and then probably let it cure for a few days before we do anything. But we'll get another look at it in the morning. See you guys then. All right, next day, let the paint cure up overnight. I say cure up, it's about 50 degrees in here, but I did get the booth nice and warm for a little while last night after we finished. Let's see how the stuff came out. Let's start with the good over here. Boom, tow hook thing. Absolutely perfect. Managed to get 2 square inches, absolutely perfect. Mirror triangle thing, absolutely perfect, except for, got a little run right there. That's where this is headed, is I managed to get a run on a mostly flat surface. That's how bad this is. Mirror actually came out really, really good. Butter. Basically no dust or anything in it. Looks really, really nice, so that's good. This is where it gets ugly. Got a run there. Got to run basically all along here. Got a little run there. Got a big run where the crack used to be. Got an even bigger run right there. Run right there. I mean, it's it's bad. This bumper has got more runs than a Taco Bell handicap stall. I've certainly done a lot better, but like I said, I just couldn't see what I was doing. I gotta figure out a better way to protect my face in, you know, less than ideal painting conditions to make sure I'm not getting 2K clear all in my eyes. Those goggles I have, not great. And B, I need better light in that booth if we're gonna be painting inside. I just couldn't see what I was doing. What's that, you know, meme of Danny DeVito where he's like, so anyways, I started blasting. It's basically what I did. Went into the booth with loaded up 2K clear coat, started blasting. Not to worry, it is certainly not the first run we have wet sanded and buffed on this channel. And look at the positives, the rest of it came out really good. I mean, we didn't get any weird reactions. All the color looks great. Minimal orange peel. There might be a couple areas down here that I could probably hit, but I mean, if we're wet sanding runs anyways, that's not a big deal. Certainly not something that we can't fix, so we will be good to go here. I promise you we'll make this thing look perfect. If you guys have been on the channel a while, you know that I'm just a guy painting in his garage in the middle of winter when it's 20 degrees out, so it didn't come out perfect this time, but after this stuff cures up for a week or so, we'll make it perfect. Anyways, I'm gonna push this stuff aside for a couple days, let it really cure, and we got some work to do on the interior and some parts that are rolling in. So let's get the BMW back in here, get the parts unboxed, and we'll go from there. Great. Perfect. We got parts. Bad news first, sadly, the replacement grill that I got for this thing off eBay arrived basically broken in half. So I already threw that away, but the seller is sending me another one that should be here in a couple days. Now let's move on to the best news ever. Boom. I was able to source a replacement seat cover with the rare ostrich insert to replace my ripped one. If you guys recall, I brought this to a local upholstery shop and the guy told me that this basically cannot be fixed because, well, a couple reasons. Main one being, this is not like your average seam where, you know, it folds over. It's basically just a stitch right there. So there's nothing to grab to. And if we were to pull this together, it would cause a bunch of like wrinkles and stuff over here. So basically this whole thing would need to be cut out and be replaced, which wouldn't be that big of a deal if BMW didn't use, or this car didn't come with the somewhat rare ostrich interior. You can see the difference in the leather there. So this piece would be really hard to match. So the best we were gonna be able to do was pretty close with a sample of leather from something else, which would then require this to be cut up, restitched, and then put all back together. Just the cost of having the seat cover done alone, I was looking at between $400 and $500. So I told the upholstery guy I'm probably gonna do that, but give me a day or two, let me post a video, let me see what my viewers have to say, see if anyone has anything for me, and you guys came through. Viewer of the channel reached out through Instagram and said, I have got the exact seat you need. Here's a bunch of pictures, here's a video. This, I believe, is actually a passenger seat, but I'm pretty sure on the E39 chassis, the seat back, driver and passenger is exactly the same. This thing is totally mint. You can see the ostrich leather there and then the regular leather there. This is where mine was torn. Mine actually has a little rip right there too. This one totally mint, as you know, you'd expect for a passenger seat, but very, very nice seat cover here. And the good news doesn't stop there. Originally the plan was to take this whole thing apart, just like I did with this seat, get all this off and then swap the seat covers, which is not the end of the world. But if you guys recall, I had to undo about 30 hog rings to get this thing off, which means to get the new cover back on this one, we'd have to reverse that, just messing with hog rings, which is never really a ton of fun. But after examining both of these, so here's my original one, here's the new one, same thing, driver and passenger seat are exactly the same. This appears that way anyways. This is a heated seat. It has all of your lumbar controls and bolster controls, the airlines there. Here's your heated seat receptacle. Everything's power, got the power headrest. These are exactly the same as far as I can tell. Which means I literally just need to bolt this onto the frame here. And we're done. The best part is, like I said, I was looking at probably $400 to $500 to get, pretty close to how the original would be, plus a bunch of labor to get it back together. $250. Guy sent me the whole seat back, including the headrest. Mint, ready to bolt on. So huge shout out to that guy. You know who you are, thanks, I really appreciate that. Appreciate the way it was packaged, you guys saw that. It took me 5 minutes to unpackage the thing. If you guys were watching the E63 video where a guy shipped a cylinder head across the country with 3 tiny pieces of bubble wrap and it showed up completely destroyed, it's good to know that some people still know how to package stuff, and this thing was very secure, arrived perfectly, so good all-around experience. Of course, before we can bolt this to the seat base and bottom, we need to fix what probably caused that to rip in the first place, which is the E39 seat twist issue, which is these cables right here. This one, I'm not sure if it's been messed with before or not, but my right side of the driver's seat was not moving, which means I think this cable right here is not grabbing per se in this motor. So we need to take this cable out, remove some of the sheathing, and then, further insert it into the motor, and that should be fixed. Last parts over here, you guys can already tell, are wheel well liners, and aftermarket wheel well liners are usually not that great. I got these ones off eBay. They're from Lithuania. They took like 2 weeks to get here. Both front wheel well liners plus the pork chops, as they call them, because my front driver one is completely destroyed. I think it was $150 for these. OEM BMW wheel well liners for this thing. They are available, but they're $300 a side. So we're looking at $600 just the wheel well liners, not including the pork chops. So I figured for $150 for everything here, we can give it a shot. Sometimes with a heat gun and a little bit of maneuvering, you can make these things look pretty good, but we'll see. Right now, we can't really make it look any worse because this is what the factory ones are doing right now. They're basically crumbling away in my fingers. So that's where we're headed next. I think I'm gonna start with the seat, get that swapped over, get all the seat twist thing repaired so I can stop using this garage stool as a seat, which is way too tall. I can start getting this interior back together. At this point, I decided to reassemble the interior that we had taken apart to do the clutch line. Figured it would be easier before we put the seat back in. It appeared all the seat functions worked with the exception of the power headrests, which after a little bit of trial and error I realized was the power headrest motor. Not to worry, of course I had the one from my original seat back, so I pulled the seat back out, swapped it real quick. And just like that, all of our power seat functions worked perfectly. Look at that. Mint driver's seat. Guess we don't need this anymore. We'll keep it around just in case. Yeah, and huge shout out to the guy that had this. This was an absolute lifesaver. But yeah, driver's seat's back in. Look at this. Oh, I disconnected the battery. Hold tight, hold on now. Trying to save battery while I got the doors open all the time and a bunch of connections unhooked. Here we go. Take two. Oh yeah. Straight as an arrow. And boop. Beautiful. One mint E39 power driver's seat. Check. All right. Mirror has been curing up by the fireplace for a full day, and it's been 2 days since I painted, so I think it's dry enough, cured enough that we can reassemble it. Let's see if we can get this thing back together and hopefully on the car. Alright, mirror is fully reassembled, put back together, installed back on the car, and then behind that, got the door panel back on, all the electrical connections done, all that fun stuff. All set to go. Door panels on. The last thing to do in here is, well, immediate last thing to do is get the shifter bezel back on. I think I gotta flip that rod around, but we'll get to that. At least I can drive this thing without my head in the sunroof for now. Up next, the bumper is up from the curing area, aka near the wood stove, so this thing should be plenty dry to reassemble. So I've got my hardware here. I'm still waiting on the replacement grill. That's the original one, but I think we can throw the bumper on in the meantime. Here is the original fog lights, or I guess these are probably replacements. They say depot on them, but instead of the yellow ones that were cracked and broken and faded, these are a clear style fog light. Got my hardware here, and the guys over at Novesight sent me some LED fog light bulbs for these things to help us, you know, modernize this thing a little bit, see a little bit better. We got the factory xenon headlights. Can't really have the halogen Thomas Edison fog lights to go with that, so we got some LEDs to go with that there. Plus, we can try to install these Lithuania/Taiwan pork chops and wheel well liners and see if we can do better than that. So let's get to work reassembling this bumper. Then I think I'm going to move the car over back to the lift bay here so I can get it up in the air a little bit. Maybe get the under trays back together. See how far we get. A lot of work to do, but put my head down and get to work. I'm shuffling cars. All right, our bumper is basically ready to go back in the car. We got this little trim thing on both sides, metal support bar, fog lights, fog light bezels. Gave those a quick paint with satin black. Normally I like to use SEM trim black, but I didn't have any, so Krylon satin black was next up. Looks much better. New fog light bulbs are in. This little cap is in. I'm leaving off the parking sensor cover things and the headlight washer things because I think it's going to be easier for me to get around wet sanding some of these runs and imperfections with all that stuff off. And then hopefully we can put my new grill, hopefully it's not broken this time when it comes in. But wet sanding and buffing I think is gonna be much easier with the bumper on the car, so it's basically ready to go on right now. I'm hoping we can get the grill in from the back. I guess we'll have to see once this is on. Hopefully it's not completely blocked by this. But anyways, we're also making progress over here. Got the original wheel well liner out here. These things are literally just chipping away in my hands here. Nothing really left of these. I really was hoping that these were gonna be higher quality considering they came from Lithuania, but I guess, you know, that's originally where they're from. They're what you would expect for cheap wheel well liners, but I wish I just ordered some from other manufacturers instead of waiting 2 weeks for these to come in. But I think with a heat gun, maybe, we might be able to make these look pretty good. I'm not sure yet. The pork chop things, they look pretty good. Here's my broken factory one. Here's the cheap one. I think I need to transfer over this little rubber piece here. Not sure how that's gonna work, but that needs to be transferred over. Some of the hardware. What's interesting is that these ones have this little hole here. And my car has these, I don't know if these are factory or aftermarket, but they like are air ducts that are very clearly designed to cool the brakes. But my original pork chops didn't have that hole, so they were effectively doing nothing. So maybe these cheap ones, if we can get them to work and fit properly, now we got a little bit more brake cooling. So let's get these wheel well liners in, regardless of how they fit for now. There's no way they can look worse than that. So let's get these in, get the bumper on, get the pork chops on, see if we can't have a mostly complete car here for the first time in a while. Oh boy, hello. You know, I was pretty skeptical about these things when they came out of the, well, I say came out of the box. They weren't even in a box. They were just folded into a pretzel all the way from Lithuania. But with a little bit of work, a little bit of trimming, a little bit of paint, and a little bit of heat gun, these things fit really, really well. Look at the gap here. There is none. This is like OEM all the way. Probably spend another minute with it there, just pushing that in. But I mean, think about how this looked, you know, an hour ago. I'll put up some B-roll of that cracked, deteriorating thing that we got over here, literally falling apart in our hands. That's what we were dealing with over there. You guys saw the B-roll. The other side's the same way. Did the same thing on the edges right here, where like the machine or whatever cut it, the plastic was a little bit distressed and therefore it was white. So I just masked it, quickly hit it with that same Krylon paint, and just to give it that satin black OEM look. And for about $100, we got a nice new set of fender liners. So it's really up to you guys. Obviously, if this was a 30,000 mile, super nice original car, I probably would have spent the $600 on 2 OEM fender liners. They probably would have bolted right in with no additional work. But if you guys are looking to save a couple bucks for something that you can make look pretty close to OEM with a little bit of work, these are a decent option. Now it's time to get the bumper on and see how those pork chops fit. See if we can get this thing, for the most part, back together and back on the ground. Well, we're kind of at a standstill here. Got the pork chops all installed. So here's the original BMW part for the passenger side. You can see how it fits right there. We got this rubber piece that kind of makes up the gap there. Looks nice. I mentioned this earlier. I thought that I would just be able to remove the rivets from the original pork chop here and then rivet this rubber part onto the new pork chop. But BMW, in their infinite wisdom, put this metal plate inside, like molded inside of the rubber part. And, you know, so that is not a serviceable part. So I just took this apart. You know, I got nothing to lose. This whole pork chop is junk anyways, just to see if I could make it work with the other one, but that's just not going to happen. So, and of course, without it, got this thing all fitted up. You can see the bolt hole up there is lined up. There's just a huge gap. That's where that rubber piece is supposed to go. So I really don't know how you could sell this piece here and say that it fits an E39, but they're all over the internet. I mean, I don't really get it. So we'll see what the seller has to say about that, but I'm not holding my breath. I'm not too mad. Again, both fender liners and both pork chops from Lithuania, I think, was 140, 150 bucks or something like that. So if we saved $400 on the fender liners and I was able to make them fit pretty well, if the pork chops are basically junk, then not ideal, but not the end of the world either. That being said, if anyone has an OEM driver's side or left side pork chop for an E39 that they want to sell, let me know. Chris at sullivan-co.com, or message me on Instagram. Or if you know of an aftermarket brand that fits well, that's in the US, that isn't going to take 3 weeks to be here, also let me know that. Unfortunately, we're kind of at a stopping point right now because I just did a quick test fit of the bumper, and that lower grill on the bumper here needs to be installed before it goes on to the car. I don't see any way that I can get that grill on. So I don't want to put the bumper on, wait 2 days, and then have the grill show up and take it all back off. Also, the pork chops go on afterwards. So I think we're just gonna call it on this video, but we made a ton of progress. The seat is fixed, the bumper is fixed, the bumper is repainted, a little bit of wet sanding and buffing. This thing is gonna look brand new, probably better than the original factory paint did, which had a decent amount of orange peel. We knocked some major stuff off the list to the point that I haven't even really driven this car to its potential yet, and there's really not much left to do other than a paint correction, maybe install that new factory style radio, a couple other little things. Like, I say little things, the paint correction is gonna be a huge job, but this thing is pretty much ready to go. So huge progress made in this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Check out the website, sullivan-co.com. I've restocked on gray hoodies, black hoodies, the beanies, the long sleeve t-shirts. Subscribe if you haven't already. Tell your friends. Leave a comment. Love reading your guys' comments. Let me know what else you want to see on the channel. Catch you guys in the next one.